should have said it right when
So I had and then I just like, why are you doing shit? No one ever say
That's awesome.
yeah,
There she is.
I could be legit protected.
If the Unabomber was a female.
Okay, all right. Okay, we're gonna talk about something that is Mark Jones's love of life. Like, this dude loves this, and we're gonna talk a little bit about AI, artificial intelligence. And so, welcome to you, listeners. Today, got my guy here, Mark Jones, Deborah Criddle.
What up, you guys? And I guess I want to shed some light on why I'm in love with AI. For me, having ADD, ADHD, and all the other OPP you want to talk about, there's so many tasks that I have to do within a day. And for some crazy odd reason, I keep adding more to my plate. And with the availability of AI, it allows me to get plenty of time back for things like editing videos, editing descriptions of podcasts. I mean, we can go on, and we will, but my reasoning for doing it isn't to replace essentially other than time in what I already take in doing the basic tasks. But yeah, I am pretty passionate about it because it is the future. We don't tend to go backwards, similar to, and I always use this analogy, is you don't go to the iPhone store and ask for the iPhone 5 or 8 once you're already at, I don't even know what iPhone we're at. But technology, just like humanity, always tends to go forward. And this is here regardless of whether we like it or not. I mean, what are your thoughts on AI? I think the big question that we would try to answer today is, AI, what is too much AI? Is it overkill at a certain point?
Yeah. So this is, I want to go back just a little bit because we are in the mortgage industry, and I want to just shed a little bit of light on just some things that have transpired in the mortgage world. Back when I started, there weren't automated systems to run our files through. We looked at, it wasn't really a point system. I couldn't really say that, but it was like, if you'd been on your job this amount of time, then thumbs up there. If you had this debt to income ratio, thumbs up there. And if you had enough of those boxes checked, then you could qualify for the loan. And just out of curiosity, without Googling it, without going to the World Wide Web, do you know when the automated systems came into place for Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac conventional? Do you know when it came into place?
If I had to take a guess, I'd say 2015 or 2018?
1997.
Whoa. Okay. So we've had AI way longer.
Yeah. So when I was thinking about that, I was like, okay, we've had AI here a lot longer. If you think about it in the context of this automated system has an algorithm that says, if your debt to income ratio is this, if your credit scores are that, if your job history is this, if you're self-employed, not self-employed, how much assets you have in your bank. And it says, with all of this in this box, yep, we're approving you. Mm-hmm. That's AI. And that came out in the late 90s. Yep. Now, has that changed our dynamic of how we underwrite files? Yes. Yes, it absolutely has, because we have a computer dictating our lives, and we've taken the brain out of a human in the equation of, can we do this loan? It's no longer they've been paying a rent payment for $2,000. Can they handle a house payment for $2,000? No.
Right.
You have all these other things that have to come into play. That's the hard part about AI is in the AUS, the underwriting findings. So in that aspect of it, I like that because it does take out any type of prejudice.
True.
I don't think the systems understands that it's a single woman or a single man, a black man or a white man. Like, I don't think it doesn't have that skill set.
Right.
It just says, based off of your credit scores, your debt to income ratio, your overall credit history, all of that, yep, you're approved for a loan or you're not. So it takes out that.
Right.
That any type of that kind of stuff.
Or we think, because technically it thinks for itself at a certain point, I would imagine. But you are correct.
Don't burst my bubble. Don't burst my bubble, dude. Don't burst my bubble.
But you are correct. I think that using it in that way, absolutely gave us back time. Unfortunately, it did replace some jobs in that aspect, which totally needed in our industry. And I think many other industries need a bit of a cleanse. And it's almost oh gosh, how do I say this without being super offensive? If your job, and I can't say this to all things, I was going to say if your job is one that gets replaced by AI, maybe step up your game. But then at the same time, AI is doing some pretty intricate things. They now have artificial intelligence attorneys or lawyers that you can go to, ask the question, get the right answer. Now you can't have them defend you, but you absolutely can research and do your own representing if you wanted to go about doing that. I've used AI to create contracts. I've used it to create legal agreements. And as long as I'm going back to double checking it to make sure, I see no issues with it. So let's talk about what all you currently use AI for, what I currently use AI for, because then I would love to get into a couple of articles that I found that may startle the audience, but at the same time, I want to get some feedback. What are you guys' thoughts?
Well, I think the big thing about it is if you look at what my responsibilities are in a day, my job is to help somebody become a homeowner. And sometimes that takes, okay, this is where they're at with their debts. This is where they're at with their income. And I've got to use 100% brain power to make that deal come together. Right. But I also need to write this letter to the city commissioner about some zoning changes that I need to have done. And I need it to be professional and I need it to sound good. And I could do that because I feel like I have the brain power to it. But I'm over here in my mind trying to get this guy a house, but I have to have the letter done. So I'm going to jump onto a ChatGPT or something like that. I'm going to say, I need you to write a letter to the county commissioners that tell them why I don't think we should move that property line and make sure you quote ABC legislation. And I need it to sound like I'm a very well-spoken male 45-year-old man who has been in the world a long time, and it's outspits a letter.
And it does it. That's exactly correct.
Yeah.
If you want it to sound like Snoop Dogg, it'll do that too.
Yeah. Yeah. So is that bad because I asked them to do that? I guess you could look at it that way, but it also is, I was just able to take my time and shift it over here where it was better served than to write this letter that they're going to read it and do whatever the crap they want to anyways. They don't care what my letter says, but my job was to write the letter. So I did it.
And that I totally agree with. In my opinion, you're leveraging the technology to give you back time to go do what you do best. It's where you have, let's call them students that are going to school, are using it to write papers. But the idea behind it is you're supposed to learn something. Whereas us in real life, we're not getting graded per se on the content. It's more so, was the content effective and efficient in the real world, I should say. So your letter to the county commissioner, using that example, as long as it gets your point across, you are articulate, professional, etc. They're not going to go, okay, did she really write this? They don't care. They really don't.
No, the task was done. You know what's crazy? I stumbled across like a sponsor thing, sponsored out on Facebook. And it was the new rules in place on AI writing novels. I don't know if that's in any of your articles you're thinking, but that just, my mind just went there and I'm thinking, so the books we read are not even going to be somebody's imagination.
I would imagine and go as far as to say that that's been around for a little while. We're talking about, you want to turn on the news, you see artificial intelligence videos being made of Taylor Swift right now. That's not her. So how long? There's no way a flip switched and that's able to be done. I think it's been happening for quite some time. I think that they created, number one, ChatGPT, which gave that tool, that technology, that access to consumers directly. And consumers only know what to do with it until they learn more. When I first got access to ChatGPT, which was when it first came out, we were using it to write code because I didn't know how to code, but the system does. We were building Review My Mortgage with it and making what would take us a whole day turn into maybe an hour of us copying, pasting, and telling it the prompts that we needed it to do. We got to learn how you have to talk to an AI bot to get it to spit out what it is that we're trying to accomplish. But none. I don't think any of the articles, well, who knows? On the job loss thing, it may be one of them, because I believe that using that type of tool takes away the creative piece of us being human, but at the same time, it almost does it better than what we would have to begin with.
Yeah, it definitely, it's kind of crazy when you really think about what it's capable of doing. But I really think that we have an opportunity to use it to amazing opportunities. Like there are so many opportunities, but I find myself when I'm sending text messages to people, by the way, this is a real person. You're not talking to AI. Yeah. And I really feel like we're going to trend in that direction just a little bit. People are excited that it's here. They're using it, but just like everything that's given to us, somebody's going to abuse it wrong.
Absolutely. And just like with everything else, it's exactly
everything that comes out, the wrong idiot gets their hands on it and it turns bad at some point. So I've had people reply back and say, "Oh my gosh, thank you for being a real person." And I take pride in that just a little bit. Today when I was looking up some stuff to try to prep for not having a squirrel soapbox moment on this whole subject, there was a little note on there that said that 27% of people use AI to reply to their friends. What kind of friends do you have?
Totally disingenuous. That's amazing.
First of all, I don't have that many friends that I can't reply back to on my own. But I was like, that is an alarming number that you have to download an AI software that says that you can go to dinner with them Friday night. Like I don't know.
Well, I mean, I think we tend to catch on to certain things. Like, for example, about 5 years ago, when we first launched Review My Mortgage and it was built on a WordPress website, there was a plugin that allowed us to build out a chatbot. And the chatbot was essentially prompting the responses that we had already pre-programmed it to say based on journeys. So that was kind of a lead into, okay, is this really AI or are we telling it what to do so that it's following the instructions? Well, it's both. Essentially, that is kind of a small introduction to it. So I'd love to talk about what we use AI for, which we've given plenty of examples already. I'd also like to talk about what jobs are going to be lost and maybe at the end cap it off with like some opportunities, something good that is going to end up coming out of this, because like I said, it's inevitable. It's not anything that we're going to be able to circumvent. And I believe that the people that jump on the bandwagon later or don't jump on at all are going to be left behind, unfortunately. You'll just be doing things the old way. And there's nothing wrong with that, but just know that it takes you double, triple, quadruple, even more time to do some of the things that you can utilize artificial intelligence to do.
So definitely pull up that article about, I think this is a really good, because honestly, I don't know. I haven't looked at this article. Are you and I on that list? Like maybe we're needing to find new employment too.
Let's find out. Let's see if let's pull it to like that. Okay. So I've got this article. It says report AI will replace 2.4 million US jobs by 2030. Now, I believe that this is a deflated number simply because there was 1.8 million jobs already replaced just in 2023 based on AI and the access to it. So it's like all of a sudden the simple jobs were replaced right away and now it's going to be a slow trickle. I don't know if I buy all that, but let's talk about it. While AI remains a threat to white-collar workers, the technology is likely to reshape far more jobs than it replaces. I like that. I like that a whole lot.
Yep. You're just going to do kind of the same thing, but you're going to be able to take a little bit off your plate to maybe do a little bit better over here. Yeah. Yeah.
Right. So let's see here. It says if you're a white collar worker, now might be a good time to assess your career options. With the new research from Forrester predicting that 2.4 million U.S. jobs are expected to be replaced by generative AI by 2030. Those with salaries over 90,000 stand the greatest chance of having their job replaced. Altogether, with legal, scientific, and administrative professions being identified as the high risk. In a rare win to creative, and report found that artistics fields are much more likely to incorporate AI into their current roles, while blue-collar professions in construction, transportation, and many remain virtually untouched. Read on, yada, yada, yada. Let's see here. So for example, the research found that 78% of legal occupations could become obsolete by 2023, with this profession dropping 61% for science researchers and 57% for administrative roles. That's a huge reduction in the working staff. So legal occupations is dropped by 78% due to AI. So what that means is mom and dad aren't going to be singing the tune of go to school to get your legal degree, because AI will probably have your job and there's the answer already online, etc. That's nuts. Now, this other article that I found actually lists the jobs. So right here, occupations most exposed to AI and LLMS. What is LLMS? Let's see if it gives it to us. Sure doesn't. Maybe I'll find that later. Number one is a telephone salesperson. Why? Because there's chat bots. And you and I can speak to this a little bit because we actually jumped on a call with someone that was trying to sell us a chat AI that sounded like a person. Now, mind you, we could tell it was AI, but what were your thoughts on that when you were going through that?
Well, the week before that, I had a guy call me, and it was an English accent.
I don't know who you are. I don't know what you want. I have a very particular set of skills I've acquired over a very long career.
And so I automatically listen because, right, anytime you hear somebody with a different foreign accent, you're like, oh, that's so pretty. I just want to hear you talk.
The same thing.
And then I asked a question, or they asked me a question. I can't remember what they were trying to sell me, but it asked me a question and I answered it. And then the way that it responded, I was like, this isn't a real person, but it had me for a second.
Well, we hear somebody with an accent and we automatically think that they're smarter than us. That is something that's true.
Yes. Except for if you have Deborah's accent. I never anyway, that's a side note. But when we were on that thing, it was a quick conference call on having people help, push more people, loans and all that jazz. So side note there, but it was just, in my opinion, it was just too perfect or too not personal, or I don't even know.
Well, I think I side with you on this. The responses or objections that were needing to be overcome were intended, and still, in my opinion, are intended for experience to start speaking versus a canned response. There's not always a yes or a no. It's here's an explanation. Let me give you some backstory, and then let me circle it around to my point to where I overcome that objection that you gave. Can it be used for something like follow up and schedule a call, especially if they're already anticipating a call or a schedule? But in sales, I don't know. I think salespeople are necessary. Consumers, they're not privy to everything, but they are getting closer and closer every day with internet and AI, etc. So to think that an AI can overcome objections that maybe they didn't think of or don't have real life experience, it's I don't know, kind of slim. So on this list here, it's talking about that being the number one, management and consulting business analyst makes perfect sense. So exposure to AI, and then this is the chatbot people. So solicitors, I think we as consumers will get so tired of AI in that regard that I don't think anybody's going to be answering their phone anymore. They'll only answer text message, and even text messages could be AI talking through the text.
Yeah. Yep.
Let's see here. Financial managers, solicitations, accountants. That's one that I totally see going away, because if you're just feeding information into a system that can do its own solving, sure, bye.
Yeah. Yeah. And the IRS is probably going to push for that too, because
Yep.
everything's going to be connected to your bank account and your deposits and your this and your that. And yeah.
That's crazy. Bookkeeping, marketing professionals. I actually do see ChatGPT replacing a lot of marketing professions, a lot of writers. You've got, this is something that could be fun. You've got the strike that Hollywood was having. Why were they having it? Why? Because AI can write the scripts better than what they were writing them, and they didn't want to be replaced. AI can damn near act out the scene based on artificial intelligence and all the things that go into it. And they were scared of losing their stake in what they're doing, their trade, their craft. These are real life things.
Yeah. And sadly, like you said, we don't go backwards.
Right.
The reality behind this is the job is going to go. I mean, there's certain jobs, they're just going to go. And if you think back to, like, I don't know, think back to when you would go get gas. This is before my day, but I know that like when my grandparents would go, somebody at the gas station would put gas in your car for you, and they would wash your windshield for you back in, I don't know, probably the 30s or 40s, maybe. I don't know. But that's gone. Why? I don't know. But just that is an example of some jobs just go away and don't come back.
Now, correct me if I'm wrong, but there are still some places in the US where you're not allowed to pump your own gas.
That's true.
Reason.
That's true.
Like, that, somebody told me that a while back, and I was like, "You're crazy." I looked it up, and I went, "Oh my gosh, how far behind are they?" You know?
Yeah, yeah. Well, do you know what I think it is? It's just like all the lawsuits. Somebody blew up themselves with the gas tank, so now they don't want the liability of somebody suing them.
That makes even more sense, actually. Yeah,
I don't really think that's the case, but whatever.
That's funny.
I do think though that like you take the situation with illustrators or books.
Yep.
I want you to create me a cartoon mouse with really, really teeny tiny ears on one side. And, it's going to draw it. It's going to create it.
The more detailed you are, the better the rendering comes out. Now, this conversation that we're having reminds me of the most recent South Park episode that came out. And I'm sure you don't watch it, but I will elaborate a little bit on it. It was South Park, the multiverse. And what they did is they were Disney started creating AI generated videos or movies based on an algorithm of woke stuff, and people stopped tuning in. But on the flip side, in the alternate universe, all of the blue collared workers started to become very, very wealthy. Example, plumber, handyman. They show the father of one of the episodes or South Park that needs to have his oven hinge door fixed, and his wife keeps badgering him to do it, and he is constantly reaching out to the handyman. But since all the influx of requests have come in because no man knows how to do manly things anymore, the handyman is now one of the richest people in the world.
That is, and that's going to happen. That is going to happen.
You can see it happening. It's like, hey, can you cut the yard? Can you fix the car? Can you change the oil? The things that we used to do have absolutely no idea where to start in many cases. And if you do, the first place you go is YouTube.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, and there's going to be things that are replaced in certain aspects of it. Like, we live in a throwaway world. You used to have a dishwasher repair guy come fix that. Yep. And now they're like, it's cheaper for you to just buy a new dishwasher. So out goes the dishwasher. So, you have AI building that dishwasher. So, right. You do have few pieces that are going to stay as an AI. And you really look to the broad thing of AI any type of assembly line that a machine was building parts. That's clear back. When did like Ford Motor come out with arms putting pieces together? That's AI too.
Absolutely.
I
And
think
now
the
they're building
scary,
homes doing the same thing.
yeah, 3D printing a house.
Yes.
Waiting for that to happen here in our area. I don't know that this would be more of a notification to be aware of AI. Did you ever dive into Glenn Beck's situation that AI posed
No, tell
as?
me.
Okay, so
I'm a Glenn Beck
it was a
fan.
while ago, but this is something that you listeners, I guess more of a family side of things, job aside for just a second. Glenn Beck had a situation where AI posed as a certain person and was going to kidnap children.
Oh, wow.
And you'll have to look it up. It is an intense thing. And as a family, we were all advised to, go out in the middle of a field with no phones by you, with no speakers by you, with nothing by you. And you guys come up with a code word, whatever it is, say it's pizza. Then if something was to happen and your daughter was kidnapped, then when she's on the phone, she said the word pizza, it's real. If you ask the AI, what was our code word? And they're like, cinnamon rolls,
Yeah,
that's
it's
not real.
Wow.
And I'm like, okay, that's kind of crazy until you read Glenn Beck's story. Everybody needs to be aware of that because that's where AI is going to get us in trouble.
And again, I don't know if it's AI or, like you said at the beginning, the people using AI.
Yeah.
And I have to tie it to something that maybe will shake the audience, but I'm a firm believer that guns don't kill people. People with guns kill people. So people talking gun control, okay, cars kill people, knives kill people. Are we going to remove cars? Bad people are going to do bad things with whatever they have access to, in my opinion. So how do we restrict those things? I don't know. I mean, will AI create something safeguarding the ability to set off the nuclear warheads?
Yeah. Well, and I think that it really goes to show you can be back in the 1990s pre-AI anything. You can put your head down and you can survive just fine. You can write your own letters. You can go to that checkout counter that has somebody actually helping you do that. You have all of those options. The problem is with everything good, something bad comes too. So you have to educate, you have to be aware of it, you have to have knowledge of it so that you can combat whatever bad comes. That's the reality behind it. There's so much good. You don't have to use it, but you have to be aware of it because it's not going anywhere.
Yeah. And I think that when people realize what you just said, it would be too late for them to start adopting it or adapting to it because we've already jumped on the bandwagon and are leveraging it whenever we possibly can. And I don't think that there's anything wrong with that. I mean, what is the word, the early bird gets the worm, or the concept of, hey man, we took the time to learn it and fail using it. So now you've got to do the same thing or watch videos to figure out what tools are going to be best for you. Like, for example, I wrote down a list of just some of the AI tools that I use. Obviously, ChatGPT. What can it be used for? There's so many things, guys. Watch YouTube to discover all the new ways. And I'm constantly learning new ways to use it as well, especially with automation. Phonics and Opus AI. I use that to edit these videos after we're done with them. Saves me time to getting back to what I do for a living, which is doing loans, coaching loan officers, etc.
Being a dad. That's the one thing, is it's going to give you back time in the right places.
Yep. Canva already has AI integrated with it. You want to create a picture of something, you just tell it what it wants to look like, and it does. You've got Bard, which is a similar technology as ChatGPT, and you've got little things like CapCut that, hey, remove the background noise from this. Done. That was AI. And I think AI is used in way more than what we actually think is being used surface level wise.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm not a proponent of it. I am a fan, as you know. I love the concept of it. I love the tool of it. I use it religiously. But like you said, there's always rotten apples that will screw it up for us.
Yeah.
When those will come, we don't know, because it's not if it will come, it's a when it will come.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I think a really good challenge would be ask AI to write Kristen a love letter and see if she can figure out if it was AI or you. I think you should try
the
it.
minute that I give it to her, she'll know it was AI. Like what I would have to do is say, hey, misspell some of the words.
Couple run-on sentences.
Yes.
All right. Well, I'm actually really excited for the things, like, you've taught me so much about AI. And when I first started with some of that stuff, I'm like, I'm not doing this. I can do this all on my own. Ain't nobody needs a computer system. And then I did it the first time. I loaded some stuff in, and in 20 minutes, all this stuff spit out. But what the freak? Why am I doing any of this? Yeah, this is so dumb. Mark, you're the king. Mark, you're awesome.
Right.
Yeah.
That is right. And now I don't want it to replace jobs, but at the end of the day, if your job is at risk of being lost by way of this, start learning it to figure out how you can supplement and leverage it with whatever it is that you're doing to become the best at what you do. And we're talking many different jobs that it can be used for, whether it's office settings, sales, administrative, creative, you name it, there's something for that. And I guess encourage people to jump into YouTube or Google to see what is currently being used with AI that you can then leverage with your own practices, business, etc.
Yeah, don't get caught on the wrong side of that. If you're on the list, all right, how do you keep your job, or how do you shift your job to keep yourself a job and leverage the tools that are sitting there? Don't sit with your head in the sand and think it's not going to happen. Oh, it's here. It's happening. It's happened. Absolutely. It's already done. So,
and those of you that were a part of the 1.8 million that lost your job to AI in 2023, put it in the comments. We'd love to know. This is not here to poke fun or anything like that, but we want to find out so that we can maybe give feedback and see how that journey went. Maybe your job was replaced and you found something better, or started using AI to make whatever it is you do better. What I've actually seen is a lot of people going, what is the word? Like freelance. Whatever it is that they were doing W-2, they're now doing it 1099 or by cash, and using the same tools that they were, but just leveraging AI.
Yeah. Well, and sometimes I think there's a situation where you might need a human. Like, hey, I need 5 videos created that sell pink houses with red doors, and I need 5 different videos. I just need to be able to ask somebody to take care of that for me, babysit it, and that person can have AI do it for me and hand it back to me. So there's roles in people's there. You just have to be that person that's willing to make that step forward. And I
consider myself an optimist. And in cases like this, I use the analogy of glass half full or half empty. Which one do you want to be? Well, for me, neither. I'd like to look at it as a refillable glass. Why? Because the opportunities are endless once you start opening the doors that open up doors to other things. And who knows, maybe you'll be able to give yourself back, 10, 20 hours in a week. And if you did that, spend it with your family, leverage it to do more business, whatever the case may be. But I see it as a tool. Is it scary to see what can be replaced? 100%. But evolution doesn't go backwards. That's why they call it evolution, right?
Yeah. Yeah. So embrace it, learn how to make it be a benefit to you, learn the bad sides of it so that you're prepped that way. And how are you going to make it just help you be more successful?
Exactly.
Or you retire in the Bahamas.
Yeah.
And not worry about it.
And hopefully you get to retire. Yeah. No, hopefully you get to retire.
Yeah. All right.
Well, that was a good discussion. Thank you for bringing up that topic. It was almost therapeutic for me to talk about nerdy stuff.
Yes. Any nerd question I have, Mark, can you do this? Mark, what do you think of this? And you do not look
I'm
like a
here for
nerd,
all of
but
it.
that brain is 100% nerd.
Awesome. Well, hope you guys have a great rest of the week. Hope you got something out of this. And who knows, maybe you may have had this discussion, because I know it's in the media. I know it's in social media. I know it's in the news. I don't have TikTok, but I'm sure people are ticking and talking about it.
Yeah, it's all over. Yeah, way to go. TikTok, yes. Hey, until next week, have a good week.
See y'all later.